let's talk about week 2. We talked about week 1 in a big, long depth. Let's talk about week 2. We got a general idea of how a lot of all these teams are. Week 2 is pretty much like, how can they improve? How can they expand on their victories, their losses, their mistakes, their greatness from the first week, and carry that over to the next? Because this is not like, what's the phrase? It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. So who is gonna pace their way into becoming the next big thing, like for this season at least? We find out this Thursday when the New York Giants go up to the nation's capital to face the Washington football team that's going to be led by Taylor Heineke. We still don't know a lot about how Taylor Heineke is going to perform. He had one good playoff game against the Super Bowl champs, the Tampa Bay Bucks. He could have gotten the Washington football team against the reigning champions from last year, the Kansas City Chiefs, in the Super Bowl in February. But there's still a lot to be said about that. But anyway, this is a team that still has a quality defense led by Chase Young, and they added some pieces in the offseason. But now that Ryan Fitzpatrick, who they signed in the offseason too, went down with a hip injury, they're going to have to rely on their almost playoff hero, Taylor Heineke, to bring them to victories for the next several weeks. Now, if he does good in this game, they might have to start wondering if they should have Ryan Fitzpatrick come back and be the starter, or like they did with Tua in the Dolphins last year, or maybe have Fitzpatrick be the backup. But as for this game, I fully think that Washington can give the Giants a run for its money with that defensive line, take down Daniel Jones, because, well, Daniel Jones is not that good, because he's still prone to making mistakes like he did against Denver at home. So I'm going with Washington over the New York Giants at home. I don't give specific scores because it's just like very hard to predict. Anything can happen. It could be a blowout. It could be a close game. It can be a tie game. So I simply go with the teams, and that's that. So we get into the early morning slate for week 2 on Sunday. You have the New England Patriots going up to New York to face the Jets in their home opener. The Patriots are still relatively, like this iteration of the Patriots team at least, are still relatively unknown with like Mac Jones. It's only his second start, but also it's Zach Wilson's second start. So pretty much it's two teams with two rookie quarterbacks, and they're just trying to find their first victory. Who's going to get their first victory? Is Robert Saleh going to get his first victory as a head coach? Which team is going to be willing to get that first win? I just think here and now, I think the Patriots have the most depth on defense and on offense compared to the Jets, but they didn't take full advantage of that in the Dolphins game. I just don't know if they are able to do that here in this game against the Jets. So we'll see if they can. I know Zach Wilson is just ready to break out, but I just don't know if he can with this limited set of talent. So I'm going with the Patriots over the Jets. Then we got Denver taking on the Jaguars in week 2. I mean, if you thought the Jaguars' performance in week 1 was bad, wait till Trevor Lawrence faces another good secondary in Denver. The Denver secondary pretty much shut down Daniel Jones last week. Wait till the damage they do to Trevor Lawrence. But then again, Trevor Lawrence might have a bounce back game, or maybe he might not. But this Denver defense still remains like a quality one in the NFL. And Teddy Bridgewater actually had a pretty good game. So I think Denver is gonna have a balanced effort here. So I'm going with the Broncos in this game. Then in Miami's home opener, they faced the Bills. The Bills are pretty much upset with the fact they had a disappointing loss. They didn't show up. They didn't get the offense that they thought they would when compared to their matchup with the Steelers from last season. So for this season, they're going into this game trying to get that first win, and I'm just going to roll with the Bills, and that's that. I don't really have much else to say about it. For the 49ers, they stay in the East, take on the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm going to talk about this more in depth on the 49ers portion of the preview edition of Very Cold Lasagna for week 2. But I will say, just to keep it brief, that the 49ers cannot sleep on Philadelphia either because of what just happened with the Eagles' victory over the Falcons and pretty much what the 49ers just experienced with their collapse in Detroit. So despite that, I'm rolling with the Niners in a very close one against the Eagles. So we also have the LA Rams taking on the Indianapolis Colts. I think the Rams are more talented, a more talented team than the Colts. Yes, the Colts have a much better defensive line than the Bears do. The Bears are have this supposedly great defensive line, but they don't. But in contrast, the Colts actually do have a great defensive line. It's just that Carson Wentz has yet to fully tap into that potential. Get some more reps in with the starters, and if he can get fully comfortable in it, maybe they have a chance at an upset. But for now, I'm rolling with the Rams to win this matchup, start 2-0 for the season. Then we have the Las Vegas Raiders for their follow-up to the overtime thriller with the Ravens. They travel to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. We'll see if the Raiders are able to follow up a Monday night victory with a win this time around, because the consensus for the last 2 seasons has been, well, the Raiders win on Monday night, then they always suck the next week. So that's been the consensus. They faced Denver in 2019. Then they sucked against the Chiefs. They faced the Saints in week 1 last year. They faced, I forgot who they faced in week 2, but you get the idea. You get the idea of where I'm going with this. It's like the Raiders got to follow up on that momentum that they built on their Monday night games that they're, for some reason, always featured in. They're always featured in these Monday night games. So they have to build on this momentum against a team that has a really good defense. They have a really good special teams. And, well, it depends. If Ben Roethlisberger can stay consistent, we'll see. But I'm rolling with Pittsburgh. I think their defense will light it up against Derek Carr and that offense. Maybe shut it down when crunch time matters most. Then we got the Cincinnati Bengals traveling to Chicago to take on the Bears in their home opener. We are at this point, we already know how much the Bears will suck until Justin Fields eventually starts. So the Cincinnati Bengals, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are going to roll over the Bears. Then we have the Houston Texans traveling to Cleveland to take on the Browns. This game could go either way. I'm honestly would say to expect a blowout. But then again, the Houston Texans literally just destroyed the Jaguars. So I'm just like, anything can happen. Anything can happen. But I'm just going to roll with the Browns for this game. They have more talent on paper, at least, than the Texans. And they're still pretty furious about how their game against the Chiefs ended. Then you have the New Orleans Saints going to Carolina to take on the Panthers. The Saints are looking to build on their big win against the Packers. And Sam Darnold still relatively inexperienced in this league. So I think the Saints are going to look to win this game against Carolina. Then in the afternoon slate, the Minnesota Vikings are going to take on the Arizona Cardinals. I think the Cardinals have more talent with Murray, DeAndre Hopkins, AJ Green. They're going to get it done. They're going to get it done against a Vikings team that pretty much relies on the check down on offense. Their defense is still suspect at best. Then you got the Tampa Bay Bucks staying home to take on the Falcons, and they're pretty much gonna Tom Brady's pretty much gonna light them up, like the Philadelphia Eagles did. So you also have the Seattle Seahawks in their home opener, taking on the Tennessee Titans. I expect them to win in this game. I think that despite their upgrades in the secondary, it just simply wasn't enough. Like that Cardinals game was just evidence enough that it might not be enough. So in LA, the LA Chargers host the Dallas Cowboys in their home opener, and this is like a big game already for Justin Herbert. Like, can he go toe to toe with Dak Prescott and that Cowboys defense, like that vaunted defensive line? Can that offensive line that the Chargers built up in the offseason go toe to toe with a still very rough ass Cowboys D line? We will see, but that should be an interesting matchup. Then in the Sunday Night Football game, the Kansas City Chiefs take on the Baltimore Ravens. This game, like I said before, it's gonna be nut busting for the Ravens secondary. Can they shut down Patrick Mahomes? Can they shut down Tyreek Hill? Can they shut down Travis Kelce? I mean, I doubt it, but then again, anything can happen. Can Lamar Jackson bounce back from his disappointing loss to the Raiders on Monday night? Can he go toe to toe again with Patrick Mahomes, but this time have that end up in a victory? We'll see. So, my pick for this would be the Chiefs to win this game against the Ravens. They go 2-0. And then in the Monday Night Football game, the Detroit Lions go to Green Bay to take on the Packers. I do think that the Packers bounce back from this game. Aaron Rodgers is probably so pissed off about how that game went. Even though, yeah, he's probably gonna still ask to be traded after the season. He's probably waiting for that time to I'm ready to get out of Green Bay. But he's just so disappointed about how that game went that he's gonna take out all his aggression on a supposed pushover in the Lions. But don't expect the Lions, after what just happened in week 1, to just be tamed in week 2. This Lions team may as well just fight back. They will just play their hearts out. So even though I expect the Packers to win this game, don't be surprised if the Lions somehow make this very interesting, or hell, pull an upset. We will see.